And we're about to go live.
What's today's
And
date?
then here we go. Today is the 8th. Hey, Zach, this is Ricky Midnight. Who are you?
You just
I just
introduced
said
me.
your name was Zach, right?
Man, you exploded my brain.
This is Ricky Midnight with the uncensored voice.
How you guys doing? It's Zach.
Hey, Zach, 8 days ago, well, I guess around 8 days ago, a law was passed here in the state of Texas. Greg Abbott signed it. He signed it a while back, but it just passed that says you can't have abortions under most circumstances. And if you aid in abortions, meaning you drive them to the abortion clinic or you're the actual person performing the abortion, then you could actually be open to a lawsuit, meaning you're not covered, right? So you can be open to a lawsuit. And I made a podcast on this. I am very against women sleeping around, being promiscuous, and then just saying, hey, I have a fallback plan, have an abortion. That's my fallback plan, have an abortion. I don't like that because having an abortion is killing a human being, killing another human being. Now, there are certain circumstances when it's necessary, but just as a regular old fallback plan, because without using a whole bunch of vulgarities, you're just a promiscuous person and you sleep with a whole bunch of different men, and that's your fallback plan, like the day after pill or the rusty clothes hanger. I don't think it's okay. Now, I didn't get any opinions because I made that show by myself. What do you think, Zach?
Well, it's a multifaceted problem, and really, what I what I personally believe versus what should be done doesn't exactly coincide. So, but we can run down what I personally believe.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So there are times that abortions should be okay.
Okay, so
It,
tell me the times because we may be coinciding on this. We may see eye to eye.
and the thing about it is and it's also timeline as
Mm-hmm.
well. So if say for example, a girl is raped,
Okay, give me the age.
any age doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it kind of does matter. Like, say she's 3 years old or she's 25 years old.
Well, I mean, if she's 3 years old, she can't conceive, so she would never
So
have an
the
abortion.
abortion would be acceptable. Okay. Well, oh, okay. She might be able to conceive, but she probably can't. So let's say she's 10 years old. Then I can understand the abortion would be acceptable. Would you agree?
I mean, no matter the age. So if a woman is raped
Mm-hmm.
and she can't, it's like she can't be in the right state. She didn't choose that.
No.
She didn't choose that. So, but at the same point in time, if she is raped,
Mm-hmm.
immediately
Mm-hmm.
she should call the police.
Mm-hmm.
One,
Mm-hmm.
and two, go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the
I agree.
not shower, not
Mhm.
do any of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Call the police, go to the hospital.
As a police officer, yeah, this is good advice.
And then from there,
Mm-hmm.
it should be available to them as a part of the rape kit.
Okay, now here's where we differ on that. Okay, I understand completely the girl. Let's say she's 24 years old and she's going to college, right? She got raped, right? Well, this child, 9 months of her life are disrupted. She was going to school. Let's say she just started a job as an intern at a law firm. Well, let's use example as a law firm, and now she's pregnant, right? So her career is now sidelined. She's basically just, uh, derailed, right? I can completely understand what you're saying, but the to me, what is more important is this is a human life that you're going to put to an end, to execute. Kind of like we would execute a horse thief back, in the 1800s. You're now saying, okay, I'm going to execute a human life because I didn't want it in my body. So that's where we differ. I don't think that's okay.
But at the same point in time, at that exact moment, it's not even attached. Like it's just a bunch of cells. It's no different. It's no different than you rubbing
So
one.
when
Like no
no,
seriously
no,
no
okay,
okay.
I like where he's going with this.
So it's no different than you really rubbing one out
Yeah.
into the toilet.
Yes.
because from that general consensus,
Mm-hmm.
every single one of those individual sperm could be a
Yeah.
child.
Yes. No, I agree. I agree. But see, the difference is that's not a fertilized egg.
Yeah, but the thing about it is it takes more than just fertilization for a baby to
Hmm?
happen. It has to
So when do
attach to
you?
a womb and
Okay.
things like that. So,
Attached to the side, inside of her womb. Yeah.
but what I'm saying is if someone was raped,
Mm-hmm.
right, and then like immediately after,
Mm-hmm.
within the first few days,
Okay. First few days.
and she goes there to the hospital and it's available to her
Mm-hmm.
at no charge, because I don't think that she should have to charge for that, medical insurance or not,
Mm-hmm.
because that's severely fucked up.
Yeah. You got raped. Now you got to pay for it. Yeah.
And then that should be available to her.
Okay.
It should be at the very least an option.
Okay. So, how long after the rape? Let's say she got raped on Saturday the 1st. We'll just say Saturday the 1st. How long after the rape do you think she should go and get cleaned out, have an abortion?
And in my opinion,
No, and the max time.
the max time to me personally
Mm-hmm.
is 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, that's what Greg Abbott says, right?
Yeah.
Greg Abbott says, well, I think that 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Well, I mean, four is a now. See, the problem there. That's what I'm saying. It's a multifaceted problem. The problem is, and it's a very very sad truth.
Mm-hmm.
But women that are victim of rape
Mm-hmm.
often don't come forward, and if they do come forward, it's not right away, because
So then, let's say, okay, well, you said 6 to 8 weeks. 8 weeks would be 2 months for all the people out there who don't know. Okay, give or take 2 months. So let's say she doesn't come forward for 3 months or 4 months. When do women start showing? After their first trimester, or is it after the second?
I mean it's different for everybody
It's
else.
different for most women. So let's say she doesn't come forward for 4 months, and she's starting to get a little bit of a belly. 4 months, right? So she now comes forward and tells her mother and father, I got raped. Should she have the abortion on the table at that time, or should it be too late?
Now, see, this is in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, on that, I really don't even have an opinion, because like at that point in time, that's on her.
So
And here's my point. So basically, right, you can have the what is it? I think it's called an ectoscopic pregnancy, where the baby grows in the fallopian tubes.
okay, I don't know what it's called, but I know what the
Um,
fallopian tubes are. Yeah.
But yeah, so the baby grows inside the
Okay.
fallopian tubes. The
Mhm.
baby's gonna die and potentially kill them.
And really gonna kill the parent. Yeah.
Now, if
The mother.
now,
Sorry. Not birth person, mother.
and here is a good counter argument to abort to like basically people that are just hard pro life.
Okay,
So
that would be
if if that pregnancy, right,
me. Mhm.
did absolutely wrecked that woman's mental health,
Yeah,
like it definitely would.
I'm
if she
sure it
was
would.
like to the point where she wants to kill herself.
Probably.
So if she kills herself while she's pregnant, both of them die.
Yeah, but it's not state sanctioned.
I mean, it's not state sanctioned, but you gotta also see that a state sanctioned law could have adverse effects that aren't state sanctioned, just like
Mhm.
it's not state, like it's state sanctioned not to steal
Yeah.
past a certain amount,
No, it's state sanctioned not to steal any amount.
but
Any amount.
but for a
Point zero 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 one.
But-
Any amount
but for a felony charge,
for a felony charge. Yeah.
right? But it's going to increase other things besides just theft
Yeah.
and things like that. Like, because, I mean, when you look at criminology and the
Mhm.
theories associated with it, crimes and actions affect other crimes and actions. So you got more people stealing things. You got more
Look at
people.
California.
You got more people stealing things from stores, right?
Yeah.
And then-
Walgreens.
and then so you see one burglar watches one thief
Yes.
steal things, and then that
Why
burglar
can't I do that?
and then that burglar goes
Mhm.
and then burglarizes their home and steals all that stuff because it's already
That
stolen
it's
anyway.
already stolen. Yeah. It's already stolen.
I mean, but and that's what I'm saying with this. It's pretty much the same concept. You gotta look at it from every angle, and that is a possibility. That's why I believe that there should be major exceptions into this law, because overall, I don't believe that a woman should use abortion as birth control.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's my biggest problem.
and,
A lot of women use it as birth control.
but the thing about it is we don't know every single exact situation.
No,
So
but
if
a lot of women do though.
and and so what my idea is
Mm-hmm.
is if you want to do that, that shouldn't be a privacy thing at that
What do you
point
mean?
in time. That should be brought into a court.
Okay, and a judge should decide.
And the thing about it is I think that the woman
Mm-hmm.
should be able to choose whether or not she has a male judge or a
Mm-hmm.
female judge.
Yeah, but see, okay, but before we go further, if you guys wanted to chime in on this, it's call just dial 210-233-9968. That's 210-233-9968. And my phone will ring here, and you can talk to me or Zach, or tell us both that we're both wrong, that you're 100% pro-choice, which means you're wrong, but that's my opinion. But okay, let's talk about the judge. Okay, so if a judge, whether you want a female judge or male judge, let's say you get a male judge, and that'd be me, right? Okay, you get a male judge, and I'm like, no, you're not gonna have an abortion. Period. That's just my beliefs. But let's say you get a female judge, and she says, sure, every woman should have a choice. Boom. So what you're saying here is, you choose a female judge, she's gonna side with you, 100%. You pay a male judge, he's gonna say, hell no.
Not necessarily, but it's just like being tried by a jury of your peers.
But we talked about trials. Tr- Me personally, I think it's probably the best system that we have in the United States, in the world, right? But it's far from perfect, because I know of a lot of juries who rule, or who vote their conscience, not vote by law, right? And like, I think that person should be set free because they've had a hard life. Doesn't matter if they killed 3 people and ate their livers, but they've had a hard life. I'm gonna let them free.
And that's why I specifically
Mm-hmm.
I specifically selected judges, because judges are far less
Far
bi-
less,
far
but yeah.
far less biased, and they go through the legal ramifications.
Yeah.
And a judge would be more qualified to see things.
I
and
agree.
then you get mental health professionals.
Mhm.
Like that's something that is done there.
Mhm.
And like they sit in on it, and then
Mhm.
they give what they think. And all it has to be in that courtroom is the mental health professional and the judge.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make the decision. Because I mean, now you have you and that's why I said multifaceted, because there's a lot of things that you got to consider into this. So if they say this woman, all right, she has a baby growing inside of her,
Mhm.
like she got pregnant, and then it was a mistake. Say she was on birth control, she was
Mhm.
being responsible,
Mhm.
and then her partner was also using a condom, practicing safe sex all the way around,
Mhm.
and then she conceived, and the
She's
fact
pretty fertile.
and she knows for an absolute fact that
Yeah.
she would not be a good mother. She does not want to carry this baby.
Then put her up for adoption, or him up for adoption.
And see, the thing about it is you're just walking into what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
and you're not even aware of it. It's just
Mhm.
it's just the natural thing that somebody's gonna automatically think most of the time, especially when you're pro-life. Now you put that baby up for adoption.
Mhm.
Okay, that baby doesn't get adopted. That baby gets kicked around foster homes,
Mhm.
and that baby is then raped, beaten, and so much worse has happened in foster homes.
Well,
And
you're talking worst case scenario.
but I mean, the worst case scenario should always be in the forefront of someone's mind when they're making a decision.
Yeah, but I mean, that can happen. For example, you have kids, right?
I mean, I do.
Okay, so most people have children. Not everybody in their life has children, but most people have children, whether you're male or female, right? You're gonna have children at some point. Do you say to yourself, when we have this child, it's possible that their uncle's gonna rape them? It's possible that they're going to be raped when they go to college by 2 or 3 guys. It's possible this and that.
Yes, that's why I
Oh,
have all of my children in combat sports,
yeah.
and
So, but it's always a possibility. So, did you abort your children? Of course you didn't.
but
You
see,
know?
but that's my own personal thing.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm
Because
trying to say.
but see, the thing about it is I
Mm-hmm.
knew for an absolute fact that I can take care of my children. Before
Mm-hmm.
my first child
Mm-hmm.
wasn't biologically mine, and I stepped in and I made that choice. It was a
Mm-hmm.
choice that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's different when it's a choice that you make and living with the repercussions of your actions,
Mm-hmm.
or it's an accident, or it's a tragedy. Because what the second scenario that I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
that was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
The first scenario where she
It was
is
rape.
raped,
Yeah.
or a victim of incest or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's a tragedy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely 100%, 100%, that should be on the choice of the woman. Because I mean,
I don't. I still don't see it like that.
I've seen women that raise rape babies,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, God bless their souls, because that's way stronger of a person than that I could ever be.
Yeah.
Period. Because I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, here's the way I look at it. Okay. I'm not looking at it from the mother's standpoint who doesn't want the baby. Okay, you don't want the baby, so damn what, right? I don't look at it like that. I don't personally. I don't care whether you want the baby or not. You were given the ability to house this baby in your womb for 8 or 9 months, whatever it might be, and you were given the ability to create that life. It didn't happen by accident. You were designed that way. Whether it be Darwin, you believe in Darwin's theory, or you believe in God, you were designed that way to have a child. You were given that child by the man fertilizing that egg, whether it was by rape or by choice or by accident, right? So for you to take that child's life, I believe is wrong. And I'll give you an example, and I made it on my podcast. Okay, so before Abbott signed this, you could kill babies all the way up to just about birth. Okay, so when they're still in your birth canal and you haven't quite started crowning, right? Now your whatever that your diaphragm's open, 6 7 millimeters, whatever the hell it is, it's starting to open, but you still don't see the top of the head coming out yet, right? They're not a baby, so somebody can stick a knife in there and slice their throat, stick a knife in that birth canal, and slice their throat, because they're not a baby. But as soon as they get spit out of your vagina, boom, all of a sudden it's a baby. You can't kill them now. You kill them, you're going to go to prison. What is the difference between 2 or 3 inches? You can kill them, and maybe it's okay. And it's only been 3 seconds before they get born, and you can't kill them. This is what I'm talking about. You're still taking a human's life. Now, I can understand when they're just multiple cells, right? That's debatable, but I can understand that. I don't really like that, but I completely understand if it's they're in the birth canal or if they're in a fallopian tube, and they're obviously not going to be brought to term. The mother's probably going to die as well. I can understand getting in there and cleaning them out. I can understand if it was, I don't know if it's possible if the baby's in the ovary and the egg is starting to grow inside the ovary, and that's going to definitely kill the mother. I can understand things like that. But even rape. So let's say the girl's up in stirrups and the baby's not crowning yet. The head's not showing, right? So is it okay to stick a knife in there and stab the kid in the head until because it's nice and soft, like a snake's egg? Stab them until they're just mush, and then let the mush roll out of the vagina. I don't think that's okay.
I mean, that's not okay. No one's saying that that's okay.
Well, but it was before this law passed. It was okay before this law passed. This is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that you can have it both ways. It's either black or white. No, you cannot kill a child, or yes, you can kill a child.
Well, I mean, then everything's black and white.
Everything should be.
But why?
See, the only people who should make decisions, and I made this actually on my last podcast about policemen, when there's police, and I'm just talking about police. I mean, we're talking police or the judge or the jury or basically law enforcement, because it would be law. That's what we're talking about. They actually make a decision on the spot, right? And we're talking about, say, in court, right? But police can make a decision on the spot, right? So I can understand it going to court, but the problem, you still run into another problem. What if it takes 6 months to go to court or 4 months to go to court? Now the baby's 4 months old in gestation. You can't take their life at that point. So they say, okay, you can take their life, but oh darn, it's been 4 months, can't take their life.
I mean that's why you just have a separate committee for that specific
That would
reason.
actually be that would be one way of solving it. Yeah, I can kind of understand that.
And the amount of abortions could definitely be seen
Hmm.
at that given time because
Hmm.
legitimately I want to come and bring this before the court and then bam, so okay, we'll see you at this date, this is what you bring.
Hmm.
You bring your financial statements, you bring everything, you bring all of these necessary requirements that you need to see.
Okay, so when you say financial statements, is it because they got to look at if you can financially withstand the strain of having a child?
I mean that because that will factor into mental health as well.
But you know,
Like,
sometimes people who just they don't have the money to have a child, basically, they find a way. They find a way. When they have that child, they find a way to make it happen. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do, and sometimes they have more than enough money, and they're still bad parents.
I
So
mean,
you can't.
you have it either way,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at that specific given juncture within the first 6 weeks, which was when this could take place,
Mm-hmm.
and like what I'm trying to say is like I'm at a loss for exact words here,
All right,
like,
take your time.
and I'm doing my best not to curse, because
Yeah.
generally cursing makes words flow out way smoother for me.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just Facebook, sir.
I mean, and it is, and I'm just trying to be better, because I don't want my kids running around
Yeah.
screaming the f word and
Yeah.
other things. But anyway, so if they bring all of that things, all of the necessary things like financial statements and things like that, and then they bring it, and then so the doctor or the not the doctor, the therapist,
Abortion. Okay.
the the th-
Therapist.
the th- or the mental health professional.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that. And then the judge, they make a decision. Okay, so this isn't just a form of birth control. There's going to be serious implications if this is brought to term. And you can't just say, oh, we'll just throw this baby into adoption, because at that point in time, the thing about adopting babies is it's hard.
Yeah.
It is stupid hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
if me, if I was a single man, I couldn't just go adopt a kid.
Yeah.
Why not? Like,
I know it's hard, but I understand.
but
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? How I'm saying it's a multifaceted issue. You can't just force something onto someone else
Mm-hmm.
without giving a viable option. Because like, even if say this, I've even known women that don't want to uh, don't want to abort their baby,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they don't want it,
Mm-hmm.
and they also don't want to give it up to for adoption, like, because of the how bad the system, and the system is beyond broken.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a complete overhaul of the system. You can't just put a limit on it, and you can't make issues like that black and white. And there's very few issues that can be made black and white. And I mean, as a policeman,
Mm-hmm.
as a military member, like, we should personally know that that is the truth, because you can't be black. It can't all be black and white. Because I mean, if that's the case, because if you look at abortion just like you look at murder,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you say abortion is wrong, so murder is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to kill anyone, it would
Mm-hmm.
be wrong.
Well, that wouldn't. There's a difference. Mark Hamill was explaining that difference. You don't get the reference. The Big Red One. Lee Marvin told Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was a just a regular old pickle, right? He was just a regular soldier, right? I think it was based. It was set in World War II. Lee Marvin was his sergeant, right? And Mark Hamill was kind of like he was there, but he was more like a conscientious objector, and he didn't want to kill. So he told Lee Marvin, "I can't murder anyone. I can't murder anyone." Lee Marvin said, "We don't murder, we kill." Okay, so there's a difference. Someone broke into my house late at night. I'm gonna kill him. That's not murder. If I break into someone else's house and I kill him, that's murder. You see the difference between the two?
And but okay, so another devil's advocate point here.
Okay.
So, say someone breaks into your house
Mm-hmm.
and you shoot that person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you you have multiple shots. You shoot multiple shots,
Mm-hmm.
and then you end up shooting your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then your daughter dies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's fair that you go to jail?
That's an accident. But there's a couple of different there's a couple of caveats. That's why even murder. Let's say you robbed a store and you shot and killed somebody. Okay, you're going to be charged with murder, and you're going to be charged with you're going to have an enhancement because there was a deadly weapon used, right? Not just you hit them with hit them with a car on purpose. Well, that could even be a deadly weapon, but there's going to be an enhancement, right? But each individual case, they're looked at. Each individual case, just like each individual abortion, should be looked at, right? But then, can you do this within the 6 weeks, right? But that's another story. But
And
going back to the daughter thing, okay? If I shoot somebody who breaks in my house, I'm not going to shoot them to kill them. I'm going to shoot them to stop the threat. And if that means they die, too bad for them. Now, if I shoot, like say we'll just call a guy Bubba who broke into my house, named Bubba. I shoot Bubba in the chest. It doesn't kill him. It didn't hit him in the heart. It went through the right side of his pec, and it went through and popped out his back and killed my daughter. Okay, that's an unfortunate accident. Okay, it's an unfortunate accident. But if I shoot Bubba in the chest and he goes down and he hits the ground, and I see Bubba and he's kind of crawling away, and I'm pop, 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 pop. I put 4 or 5 more shots into him, and some of the shots, shrapnel bounced off the tile and killed my daughter. Well, not only did I murder Bubba, because I already stopped the threat. I've already stopped the threat. Okay, Bubba is no longer a threat to me. He's crawling away. Now I've murdered Bubba, and as a part of my murder, I killed my daughter. That brings it into a different circumstance. Okay, so that you have to look at each individual killing as its own entity. You understand?
okay, so all right, now I'll give you another black and white
Okay.
scenario. You tell me if it's black or white.
Okay.
And this one, I just thought of this,
Okay.
but it does happen.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I'll even tie abortion into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, a mother that's not financially stable,
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to get an abortion,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't let her. And so, she tried to do the responsible thing and take care of the child,
Mm-hmm.
and she can't even make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes into a store. Okay, and then she goes and she tries to steal some formula for her baby,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing else, but some stuff for her baby. But the store clerk, sees her, and then he ends up trying to detain her and killing her. And maybe not even just shooting her, maybe just
Okay.
like trying to hold her, and then she falls through the glass. There's a million one things that can
Mhm.
happen. Now, that mother is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white, was she wrong?
Okay.
And
Well,
and,
let's look. Let's
and
go.
Was the store clerk wrong for
Yes, he was.
yeah.
You gave me a specific scenario, and I'll give you a specific answer on that. Okay. First off, the clerk does not have the right to physically detain her. He's not a police officer. He's a clerk. Okay. It doesn't matter what you are. You could be military. You could be firefighter. You could be a lawyer. You could be a judge. You're not a cop. You do not have the right to detain them. That would be in the state of Texas. That would be unlawful detainment. Geez, I forget the exact term, but it's unlawful for you to try to detain them in the state of Texas. Only a sworn officer in the state of Texas can do that, and that's not a judge, and that's not a security guard. That would be a police officer or a sheriff or a marshal, something like that. So for the clerk to have done what he did, he put a chain of events that is now murder. Now, it might be pled down to manslaughter on that clerk, but he murdered that woman. Now, so had he not done what he did, that woman wouldn't be dead, and this scenario would not have even happened. So the scenario you gave me wouldn't have even existed had he not broke the law the way he did. Now, let's say he detains her. He just happens to detain her until a police officer shows up. I show up, right? I show up, and I'm like, ma'am, this is what you did. I'm placing you under arrest, because you stole this formula, blah, 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 right? I probably wouldn't do that, but that's a different story.
I wouldn't do that. I would just if it
I
was
would,
me,
I would probably just pay for it.
Yeah, it's like I'd pay for the formula for her.
And then I'd give her some pamphlets and tell her there's public assistance out there, for you. You can have, these are the pamphlets. You need to get public assistance. They can help you purchase formula. They can help you. That would be me. But let's say, for example, the cop said you're under arrest. I'm placing you in a vehicle. I'm gonna call. Child Protective Services in order to take your child and put him in. That would be a jerk of a cop. Again, that was my last podcast. As a matter of fact, I'm not a jerk of a cop, or I wasn't a jerk of a cop. I made sure that I wasn't that kind of cop. So your scenario goes bye-bye if the clerk doesn't take the law into his own hands. You're not Batman. Don't take the law into your own hands.
And then now I love these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So you just change it from that woman steals from another person,
Okay.
and it is their property at that point.
Was she stealing with a deadly weapon?
No,
Okay.
she just took it.
She just took it.
So
like ripped it out of her hands or
and
his hands.
and then the lady that was getting her things stolen from her
Mm-hmm.
reacted.
Mm-hmm.
So in the ways of the law,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm assuming correctly,
Mm-hmm.
right, that woman could could do anything that was necessary to get her property back.
No, that would be incorrect.
So
Not in the state of Texas, at least.
okay, so if someone this is a little bit different,
Okay.
but I kind of want it for my own personal.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone steals my car,
Mm-hmm.
I can't is physically trying to steal my car on my property. I can't shoot them.
There's a couple of different. You're looking at a couple of different things here, and I'll give you the answer to that. Okay, say you're on your property, right, and
Mm-hmm.
someone is trying to steal your car. Is it what time of day is it? It matters.
No, I mean, just explain the whole thing, because I like with this.
Okay.
This is
The
just
reason why.
information.
Okay, the reason why. Okay, we're kind of getting off the subject here. We're talking about abortion. We're talking about this now. Okay, the reason why I say the time of day matters. If it's during daylight hours, you cannot shoot them. You cannot stab them. If you get into a fist fight with them, that's kind of on the iffy side. That's called mutual combat, right? But during
Texas.
the nighttime hours, that's different scenario. Now, if we say it's 10:30, or we'll say it's 12:30 at night, or 12:30 a.m., right? 12:30 a.m. It's completely dark. Is the vehicle in a park? Is it in an open garage? Is it inside a closed door in your garage? Is it parked in your backyard? So, kind of get into the scenario. Where is it?
I mean, any of those. So,
No, you got to tell me which one.
well, I mean, it's on my property.
Let's just say, like my vehicle just parked in a driveway.
No, because that's not private property.
Well, my driveway is private property.
Oh, I thought if it's connected to the street, it's not necessarily private.
My driveway is private property. Where it becomes private property as soon as the sidewalk ends, and even though my driveway is part of the sidewalk or on the other side of the sidewalk, as soon as you get closer to my house on that side of the sidewalk, that's all private property. From the sidewalk all the way to the street, it's not private property. Okay, so let's say it's in a closed, or it's in a garage, but I left the door open all night long, and somebody starts stealing it. Now they're actually entering my home. They're not breaking into my home, but they're entering my home. I go to investigate, and I have my gun in hand. I happen to shoot them while they're trying to steal my car. That's going to be looked at differently than if it's just sitting in my driveway and I have my gun in hand and I go off and shoot them. It's going to be looked at, each scenario is going to be looked at differently. My friend one time brought up a scenario to me. He said it's happening during the day. You and I are working on a car. I used to be an auto mechanic, so I'm working on a car, right? I'm kind of laying under the car. I'm on my creeper, laying underneath the car, working on the transmission, whatever it is, right? And he's pulled up in my driveway, and he's BSing with me. And as he's BSing with me, somebody jumps in his car because he left his keys in, starts it up, and backs up and takes off. Okay, can he give chase? Well, no. If you're breaking the law by speeding, you're breaking the law. Police officer can give chase, but you're not a police officer, so no, you can't give chase. Okay, so that's one. Had you not been giving chase, anything else I'm going to talk about wouldn't have happened. So he says, okay, I'm giving chase. I'm following him. And I get window to window with him. And I'm like, pull over, you SOB. Pull over. You're in my car. Pull over. And he says, the guy pulls out a gun. He goes, I pull out my gun, and I boom, 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 boom. I start shooting him. And he dies. I said, well, that's murder. You just murdered him. That's murder. Or her. Or them. That's murder. Because first off, you shouldn't have given chase. Just Police officers are paid to do that, not civilians, right? Two, you pulled out your gun and you started popping your rounds off, which is gonna be uh, geez, I'm forgetting the exact words for it, but it's gonna be firing a gun in the city limits. I forget the right now as we're talking, but you can't do that either, right? So you kill them, and let's say the guy dies, and he goes through a backyard, runs over two kids who are playing in a swimming pool, because it's during the day. Remember, runs over two kids, and see now you're gonna be charged with three murders on your head, or three manslaughters on your head if they plea them down, all because you didn't want to lose your $2,000 Mustang. Is it worth killing three people because you didn't want to lose your $2,000 Mustang? Let's say it's a $200,000 McLaren. Is it worth killing three people because you lost your $200,000 McLaren? So, no. Had you obeyed the law and not been speeding in the first place, just call the cops. It's property. It's depreciating property. Call the cops. Say, hey, my car was just now stolen. This is my name. This is the license plate. In the story.
I don't know. Well, I'm just saying murder is not always, and I guess you could say murder and killing are different, but killing someone, in my opinion, isn't always wrong.
Well, I don't think it's always wrong either. But if it's a deliberate, the difference between murder and killing, murder is deliberate, and it's not in self-defense or defense of others. In defense of yourself or defense of others, that's killing. There's a difference. Okay, so Mark Hamill, when you go back to that example, Mark Hamill was doing it to save his own life or the lives of his comrades, because the enemy is trying to kill you. So you're trying to save your own life or their lives. That's killing. Murder would be like, I take my gun and I go out there and want to kill the first person I see. That's murder. Do you kind of see the difference? Kind of like killing an unborn child. You're deliberately killing them. You're not doing it to save your own life. If you're doing it to save your own life because the baby's inside the fallopian tube, that's not murder. That's killing of another person, right? I can understand that. I can condone that. But if you're not killing them to save the life of another, then that's murder.
Okay.
Do you see that's my thoughts.
I get what you're saying, but all that's doing to me is just proving that not everything is black and white. It needs to be.
No, it's not everything's black and white. But see, that's why Greg Abbott, and this is why I think what he did was good. He's done some stupid stuff, but that's why I think he did was good. He said that after 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, the child cannot be aborted. And I kind of see that. If a girl gets raped and she doesn't want to tell her mom and dad so she can go get an abortion within that 4 to 6 weeks, that's on her. And I know it's unfortunate, but that's on her. It's not okay for her to murder another human being because she didn't have the chutzpah to tell her mom and dad she got raped. And I know it would be embarrassing. It's far beyond embarrassing, far beyond humiliating. I completely understand that. It's like a guy getting his butt raped. God, you don't want to admit it to anybody. I can completely understand that, right? But we are talking about another human being's life. At least this is how I see it. And I'm sure there's a lot of callers out there who see it my way, and I'm sure there's a lot of callers who see it your way. But that's just my opinion, you know.
And that's before you wrap up here, and that's all I was really saying. That like it should encompass more than what it is. It's just kind of like a blanket statement, and there's not a whole lot to it. And then that's just unfair. That you're basically pigeonholing a multifaceted issue that stems to multiple other organizations, and like to me that's just not right. It's not right at all. I mean, and at the same and especially to the doctors, that's not right either.
Well, you know what? I was listening to KTSA. KTSA is really cool. If you haven't listened to KTSA, guys, and you're conservative, now if you're liberal, you probably don't want to listen to KTSA unless you're just curious as to what they're saying. But if you're conservative, KTSA is a great radio station to listen to. Except on Sundays when they talk about plants and trees and stuff like that. That's not conservative. That's good for anybody. But what they were saying on KTSA was in certain circumstances, kind of like I'm saying here, in certain circumstances, it's admissible or it's permissible to do it to abort a child, and I completely understand that. It's completely acceptable during certain circumstances. This is the reason why we're having discussion right now. To just say every woman has their own choice, it's their body, it's their choice, is wrong because it's not just your body, it's two bodies. It's your body and your soul, and another body and another soul. So I don't think it's right. But after we can kind of agree on something here about 4 to 6 weeks is probably about the cutoff. Does that sound about right?
I mean, when you've got brain function and
Mm-hmm.
you've got your heart beating
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, then
That's
no matter what you believe,
mm-hmm.
that's a life.
That's kind of what they were saying. Actually, I was listening to that. They said once they could detect the fetal heartbeat, that's when the cutoff is.
And I don't even really think necessarily that a fetal heartbeat could be considered life either. I mean, because it's got to be.
Well, that would be the debate then.
Because I mean, think about this, and it's dealing with people that are much older.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a person on life support
Mm-hmm.
and they're brain dead,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing that's keeping them alive is machines, and you pull that cord,
Mm-hmm.
and their hearts continues to beat, but they're still brain dead
Mm-hmm.
and everything, you take them off the life support. And
Yeah, that's debatable because it's the same thing with a child, right? Let's say the child has been gestating for 9 months, right? And you reach into the birth canal and you cut the umbilical cord, which is what's keeping the child alive, right? That's what's giving them food, letting them pop out their waste and all that stuff, right?
I mean, you would drown them at that point.
Yeah, you'd be killing them. So, but when they're born and now they're starting to breathe oxygen, now you can cut the umbilical cord and everything's good to go. But seconds before they're born, can you cut the umbilical cord? Because just like you said, you'd be killing them. So that's where it's debatable. That's what I'm talking about.
But that's what I'm saying. At that stage in the pregnancy, that's not.
We're only talking seconds, though.
But that's not even seconds. That's weeks. Like.
Well, no, I'm just
there's-
saying if they've been pregnant for 9 months, they're sitting there or they're laying there in stirrups.
Well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the bill, because like if you want to be like the baby is 9 months old
Mhm.
or 7 months old,
Yeah.
it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
Literally unless the mother is going to die and the baby's going to
Okay.
die, and you have to choose one or the other.
So where do you
That
where do
should
you
also
say the
be-
cutoff is? Where would you say the cutoff would be? A good point to say the cutoff is here, right here.
8 weeks?
8 weeks, 2 months. 2 months. Okay, so you say 2 months. Okay, well, Greg Abbott signed it. I think he said 4 to 6 weeks, which is 1 month to a month and a half, and you're saying 2 months. So you're not very far off from where Greg Abbott is.
But that 2 weeks is a
That's a big difference, I know,
It's a-
in the
it's a-
gestation period. I know it's a big difference.
It's a big difference in a gestation period, and it's a big difference for the woman involved to be able to
Give her a little more time to
give her-
decide what she wants to do.
yeah, and to decide the best course of action.
Mhm.
Because I mean, when you look at it statistically, very very few women
Mhm.
are gonna be like, nah, I just don't fucking want that kid. I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Very very few. Of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like penalizing everyone else for those very very few people.
Now I might
And I
be.
don't think that's I don't
No,
think that's correct.
I completely agree. That's that kind of goes to another subject, penalizing some. Like I hate all cops because some cops are jerks. There's some firefighters that are jerks. Do you hate all firefighters? So I kind of see what you're saying, right? You don't want to penalize all because it's just one or two, right? Or millions, but we're talking about the whole freaking United States. But yeah, so I guess we can both kind of agree between 6 to 8 weeks would probably be the cutoff. I don't know enough about the science to say 8 weeks or 6 weeks. I do know that once you can sense the child's, I guess, heartbeat, that it's probably about done. You can't abort them. I would say that, but I don't really know enough about it. You might want to ask a nurse or a doctor or a pediatrician or something. I don't know.
And,
Gynecologist.
and, and like I mean the main difference is the belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
So if you personally believe that everyone has a soul,
Mm-hmm. I do.
okay, so then it's wrong for you no matter where it is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, generally speaking, Well, and even not even generally speaking, because we still don't know.
Well, no, I
Because
don't exactly. Okay,
when is the
I
soul?
believe a soul. I believe a soul is there once the conception has happened. I believe a soul is there, right? But I also believe that there are certain circumstances. So let's say we'll just use an example. You have a daughter who's 16 years old. We'll call her Tina. Okay, if Tina gets raped, and Tina tells you 4 months after she got raped, because now she's starting to show.
And Daddy's going to jail.
Yeah, well, Daddy will probably go kill the guy. And hey, I don't say that you shouldn't have done what you did. You did what you did, and I'd probably do the same thing as the dad. Okay, but I'm not saying that. But I'm saying she doesn't tell you until 4 months. You can't. I don't think it's okay for you to go abort that baby because your child's being forced to have a child. But I see certain circumstances. Remember what we talked about earlier about killing and murder. I can see you're defending a woman's life because she has a child who's starting to grow inside of her fallopian tubes, and she will die unless that child dies and becomes, a bloody mush in the next couple of weeks. She's gonna die,
And
and that child's gonna die. I can understand that because now you're killing another human being to save a human being.
and,
I can see that.
I mean, but in my point of view, there is like if my daughter told that to me, then that's what she wanted to do, I would do it.
Yeah,
I would drive her there myself.
I know a lot of fathers would mothers and fathers would want to do that, but that's where the law comes in because the law gets to tell you, what you're going to do or not do. Um, One last thing before we close out.
Oh, this
Did
is
you
a long
know?
episode.
Huh?
This is a long episode.
This is a long episode, I know. Did you know that they were talking about being able to sue Uber drivers and what's that other one? Uber and the other one,
Lift.
Lyft, Uber, and then someone else. I forget it. They were talking about because remember when we first started this, Greg Abbott signed that and said you're open to a lawsuit if you help have that child aborted, help a female go and have her child aborted. Well, if Lyft takes you there, let's say I'm a Lyft driver and my co-host here happens to be a female who got pregnant and wants to get an abortion, right? My co-host, says, "Hey, I need a Lyft driver to my house." So I go to their house, and they say, "This is the address I need to go to." I said, "Okay, not a problem," and I start driving them to that address. And just as I'm pulling up, I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute! That's a place where you're going to get an abortion." And what am I going to say? You can't get out of my car. I'm holding you here in my car until we get down the block. I'm going to hold you. So you're going to drop them off because you don't want to be breaking the law. So you're going to drop them off. Say, okay, get out, but I don't condone what you're doing. Get out, get out, get out, So now you just open yourself to a lawsuit because you just dropped them off in front of a clinic where they're going to get an abortion. So Lyft and Uber and forget what the other one is, they're actually suing the state of Texas or looking at suing the state of Texas because of that. Because you can't hold Uber and Lyft and the other person that I don't remember liable for that.
I have two things to say to that.
What's that?
First off,
Mm-hmm.
I would be one incredibly hairy woman.
Yeah, it would be an ugly woman, but I'd call you ma'am if you want me to call you ma'am.
Second off,
Yeah.
if Texas wants to take that to the Supreme Court, the state of Texas will lose by a
I know.
landslide.
There's no question. There's no question. There's no
So,
question.
joke's on the state for that one.
Yeah, there would be no question. So, but hey, guys, this is Ricky Midnight.
And this is Zach Mullins.
God bless America, and God bless Texas.
All right, y'all have a good one.